Shabbat Shalom, Temple Beth-El, and good morning. I hope that this message finds you all in good health. This week's Torah portion is Ha'azinu, which means listen or listen up. In this Torah portion, Moses is told by God, this is your last day on earth. And in that last day, Moses decides to speak a poem or a song to the Israelites. It's a huge part of this Torah portion are the words of Moses' song. He tells the Israelites, think about where you've come from, think about where you're going, consider all you've had to go through to get to this point, and decide how you want to move forward. I can't even imagine if we were ever told that it was our last day on earth. I don't even know for many of us if we'd want to know. But how would we handle saying our goodbyes? How would we decide to pass our legacy on? This notion that Moses knew he had one day left, and that he chose to speak to these people he just led through the desert. Not necessarily his wife Tzipporah. He didn't pull aside Jethro, his father-in-law, and have words with him either. At least we don't read about it. He decided to speak to his people. At the very end of this week's Torah portion, God asked Moses to ascend Mount Nebo. Mount Nebo, a real mountain, overlooks the border going into the Promised Land. God says to Moses, Moses, ascend the mountain and look out at this beautiful land flowing with milk and honey. You're not going in. You're going to die on this mountain, but you do get to see the Promised Land, a ta'am, a taste of where your journey has taken you to take the Israelites. Again, I sit with the idea of it almost feels taunting that Moses gets to see the Promised Land but not go in. It feels like, what was God's goal? But from another take, possibly God said, I'm not going to take this moment from you, Moses. I'm going to let you see the Promised Land. And yes, your actions throughout the Torah, we learn as rabbis, is what kept Moses out of the Promised Land. But maybe God had rachmanis, God had rachmanut, compassion, and still wanted Moses to be able to see the glory that was in front of him. I hope and pray that this Shabbat is not the last Shabbat for any of us. But this idea that we should live each day as if it is our last is something that could really motivate some of us who struggle to make meaning of our days. I invite you to put your cell phones down after watching this message. I invite you to pick up a book, to go outside, to help a neighbor, to do something that's active in your life. Not necessarily physically active, but not passive. So often I think we are overwhelmed, and I can tell you after the last few weeks many of us have had, we're inundated with things that we have to accomplish so that we can lead a safe, dry, healthy life. But there's so much we're missing out on. When I hear of the unbelievable ways you're showing up for one another, that our congregation is showing up for all of you, that the number of people we had for high holidays was so humbling considering everything else that's going on, I know you get what I'm saying. So no, I hope this is not our last day on earth, and I pray that we have healthy, long lives. We say in Hebrew, me'ad 120, until we're 120, which is how old Moses is during this Torah portion. But let us get this mindset that everything can be celebrated. Every moment, no matter how mundane, can be a blessing. And let us look at this Shabbat as the opportunity to be reminded, ha'azinu, listen up. We have something to say. Shabbat Shalom. Hope to see you tonight.